113 days ago, 20 brothers embarked on a Survivor season like no other. The personal connections that were developed before the game, as well as previous season records, weighed heavily into the decision-making throughout the season. Twists, both intentional and involuntary, forced the players to adapt to new surroundings, and ultimately the tribe has dwindled down to the final 5. Sahil came into this game with little experience.
I don't know what's going on.
Sorry.
It's the orange team.
I'm on the orange team.
Good try.
I know apparently less than I thought I knew initially.
But throughout the semester, he's been able to learn on his feet and work his way into multiple alliances that have helped him make his way to this point. And he is now the last surviving member of Bayani.
I came in with a strategy that I was going to fly low, stay under the radar, like right from the very beginning, and it's kind of worked at every, like I've just never been a target. I've only been like an auxiliary target, like I've gotten a couple votes every now and then, but I think that's going to happen. I don't know. I think I've done well. I think I've done well by not doing too much.
Beef began this season with the largest target on his back, being the previous season's winner. Early on, he created individual alliances with essentially every player in the game, and built those alliances up throughout the game going into Merge. His threat level keeps rising as the days goes on, but will he be able to hold out and make it to the final 3?
The whole season was designed, my whole strategy was designed so that I would have people in the game at that point where if I didn't win that challenge, I might have a chance of still being taken to the end. So it's pretty simple on that.
Swartz had a plan from the beginning of the season to stay loyal in his majority alliance and dictate the votes away from his allies. Come Merge, he was able to work some key blindsides and idle moves to push his way into the final 5. Did those moves put too large of a target on his back, or were they enough to convince the jury he should win at the end?
My goal was kind of just to try to make it like this far. I wasn't really expecting to be in a position that I felt like I could very seriously win. As a whole, I'm very happy with how the game has gone, and I'm halfway expecting to make it to the end and maybe win. So I couldn't ask for much more than that.
At the beginning of the season, Fields didn't even know what Survivor was or how it was played.
Is this how they do it in this round? Yeah.
However, as the season went on, he was able to find his footing and put himself on everyone's good side. When Merge hit, he orchestrated pivotal moves and switched his allegiances at key moments to help him get to the final 5. Will he be able to pivot his way into the final 3 and claim the title of sole survivor?
Definitely really exciting. I honestly haven't been super involved over the last few days since the last challenge. I don't know what's gonna happen, but we'll see.
Bittner has had plenty of experience making it to the Merge, but just missing out on the end. This season, he's been able to tame his threat level and help vote out key adversaries and staying loyal to his core allies. Will he be able to seal the deal this time and confirm his spot in the final 3?
I think I have the ability to argue my way into this game and explain why I had to play the game I played and what it took for me to get to the end, given the mistakes I made my first 2 times around and learning from them. So I think I've got a good shot.
The game is up in the air, with every player left having a serious chance at winning the title. Find out who wins tonight and who goes down in flames on the finale of Survivor WashU.
Okay, travel went exactly according to plan. We got everyone who didn't know I had an idol to vote for me, and then I played my idol and we were able to pick off Andy.
I fucking called it. I don't know why no one listens to me, but I fucking called it again, just like the fucking thing with Raveneth. I goddamn called it. That's what happened. All right? Beef, Andy and I were on a call, right? And then it's like, so we're talking, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, 3 votes on Swartz. Those 3 votes were going to be Beef, Fields, and Bittner. And then we're going to have 2 votes on Bittner, me and Andy. So we're like, okay, that's the plan. We're going to tell Fields and Bittner that we're voting for Swartz, right? And then no issue, just the 3 of us have to know the plan. But then Beef tells Fields, and I'm texting Fields, And then I'm like, you talked to Fields? And he says, yeah, I'm talking with him now. I'm like, okay, good. So he's going to tell him to go Swartz. And then he says, I like the plan of going 3-2-1, but I'd rather be one of the guys voting for Bittner instead of Swartz. I'm like, okay, red flag, but I can't say that to him, because if he's going to, whatever. So I say, yeah, for sure, want to swap? You could vote for him, and I'll vote for Swartz. And then he says, yeah. And I'm like, okay. I immediately send that screenshot to Andy. Oh, that's the screenshot that I'm going to send you, my text with Andy. I immediately send that to Andy, and then they're like, no, it's fine. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, nothing fishy here? Just like nothing fishy when Joey said he had his idol and Ravenith got voted out? I'm enraged and angered.
Went according to plan. I now have a nice little piece on my resume, and hopefully I can make it to the final 3 for sure now, so feeling pretty good.
And we had the safe move the whole time of just going for Bittner. I said that right before the vote. I said we should all just go for Bittner. Good. And they're like, no. And we still would have, if we had done that, we could have gotten Swartz to play as idol. God damn. All right.
That was exactly how I wanted it to go. I was able to hold on to my idol for a couple tribals without telling anyone I had it. And then once we got to the final 6, I felt like I would not be able to live with myself if I went home with it. So I decided I might as well use it.
That was a jury management vote. I definitely didn't want to vote Andy out on a personal level. I was pretty clear about that in most of my confessionals. But I'm not oblivious to the fact that the best story that could be told by anyone left in the game at that point was going to be Andy, who could say this is my 3rd final, played a low-key game. My whole, there's a lot of narratives he could push.
I was really glad it wasn't me. I really, really did not think Swartz was going to pull an idol out. So I was pretty surprised by that. Really thought of that instance, really thought it was going to turn around and be me. I'm not entirely sure on why it wasn't me, other than Andy saying that he made a risky move trying to save me because the pressure was originally on me, and that it backfired on him. So I think I'm ultimately thankful for that relationship. All I'm going to say is that if Swartz makes it to the end, given that he'll have been the target for 6 consecutive votes, he deserves to win this game. I don't think there's any question of that. So I'm really, really hoping we can vote him out tonight.
Yeah, I want to vote for Swartz because he's the only person left in this game who's openly said they want to get me out of the game. So that's kind of a no-brainer for me. And he knows that, I know that. We're kind of just bullshitting each other at this point.
Yeah, and I don't think he plans to betray me, because I think he feels that he would beat me if the game came to it at the end, which I kind of agree with. I think he'd probably end up winning if he got to the end, which is why I'm gonna stab him in the back.
there's no way that it's unclear to me that he's trying to vote me out. And quite frankly, although I have been more low-key about it than he has, if he hasn't figured out I'm trying to vote him out, then he's not.
My plan right now, I think, would be to survive this round with me, Beef, Fields, and ideally Sahil. And then Final Four, I think I'd have to, for the sake of winning the game and not being a good person, I think I'd have to snake Beef in the back and commit petricide or whatever it is when you kill your father.
Pretty much if anyone wins immunity other than Swartz is going home this week, the way I see it. And I think that's definitely the best game move. He probably is the best chance of winning out of anyone else left. Not necessarily because he's played a good game, but because he's survived a lot of votes that he shouldn't have survived. Then again, Fields and I are like definitely responsible for him surviving a lot of those votes and not really him. But Survivor's a game of perception. So if it looks like he's surviving, then it doesn't really matter what Fields and I were doing. It looks like he played a good game.
Bittner, yeah. We've been in the same tribe, I think, the whole game. This game started out with our tribe losing like 3 of the first 4 like challenges or something. Our tribe was not doing well, but all 3 of those votes, like who I wanted to go home went home, and who he wanted to go home did not. So like we've been against each other the whole game pretty much, and my side has pretty much been winning the whole game.
He's enemy number 1. I don't think there's any question about that. I've been voting for either him or an ally of his pretty much every week for like 5 weeks now. Outside of I think 1 vote for Sahil. So standing with Swartz isn't great. Honestly, I actually think he has the best chance of winning this game right now if he gets to the end. Honestly, over Beef and I as well, just because he's played a great game and has been on the chopping block for so long.
I'm still like super conflicted about the Bittner situation because my whole game this season has basically been convincing him that I'm absolutely, no matter what, his number 1. And like I said, I needed someone with a Survivor ego who would know that to be the best in Survivor, they'd have to take me to the end and beat me. And he was the only person in the game that I thought would be willing to do that. And that's so far like proving to be somewhat true. So if he genuinely stays loyal to that, he knows that any win for him this season would be illegitimate without me sitting next to him at the end. And quite frankly, with or without me at the end, I think he loses, because if Swartz is next to him, Swartz wins. Honestly, if I get voted out and Fields is next to him, I'm going to go super hard for Fields on the jury, so Fields probably wins. Like, I don't think he wins the game no matter what. So there's no real, he might as well take me and try to beat me rather than take me and lose anyway.
Yeah, no, that's something I've had to think about a lot. And I still think I would take him because I actually think I could win. I didn't think that at first, but reflecting on my game, I feel confident in the game I've played and the way I've had to play it based on why I've been voted out in the past. And so I don't actually worry about going to the end with him, and I'd kind of like to stuck it out all the way.
Sahil, I also feel pretty good about. This is the whole philosophy of Sahil and Fields just don't know the game well enough to know that it's completely unacceptable to take me to the end.
I think I'm like overanalyzing everything he does now, but I think I know how he's playing the game, so I think, I'm analyzing it correctly. Because I was texting him, Bittner, and Fields at the same time today. So I was texting Bittner. I was texting him earlier as well, so we were just talking about who we should get. So we were saying Swartz tomorrow is who we're feeling. So today I said, is Beef on board for Swartz? He said, yeah, 100%. Oh, yeah, okay. And then he said, I wasn't actually sure that Beef was 100%. He just got back to me. He said, yeah, I'm 100% down to vote Swartz. Right after he sent me that, I was texting, right, because I was talking to Beef. Beef sends me, because I'm talking to Beef. He said, okay, yeah, I'm down for Swartz. Still worried about Bittner, though. He's voted for you and me before and would definitely vote for me again, would definitely vote for one of us again if he had the chance. And then I get a text from Fields right at that same time. Thoughts on tonight? I've heard about Bittner. And I don't know. Because I know Fields and Beef are talking all the time. So the only person talking Bittner, is Beef. And so I don't know. I just definitely don't trust anybody but Bittner. Because Fields has just been lying to me this whole time. And yeah, Swartz, again, we never lie to each other, but yeah. So I think it should be Swartz, but if Beef flips, then adios Bittner.
I trust Bittner, and I'm pretty sure I trust Sahil. So if Fields is trying to be sneaky, Bittner definitely doesn't trust Fields right now, and that was the whole point of the Andy vote, basically, that it made Fields look super untrustworthy, but at the same time, I totally knew exactly what he was doing. So it really hurt his game because it made Bittner super out on him after flipping, and it made Sahil super out on him. So Fields' ability to turn on me, he's the only person that could conceivably win the game at this point based on gameplay. And he can't turn on me because Sahil doesn't trust him and Bittner doesn't trust him.
So the biggest thing is that I don't actually feel that Fields is on my side anymore. He was. And when he betrayed me and voted James out, that was something I was willing to let go because he turned around and started voting with us very reliably again from there. But now 2 weeks in a row, he's voted with Swartz and against our interests. So we now have literally no reason to think he would vote with us instead of Swartz because he has displayed no behavior that would lead us to that conclusion at this point.
I don't know what Fields is going to do. Because every time, because the last time he said he was going to vote Swartz as well. Or we had we had the plan to split the vote for Swartz and Bittner, and then he switched and voted Andy so that there was only one vote for Bittner, then 3 votes for Andy, right? Yeah, so I'm worried something similar could happen this time where he is bullshitting me, right? So then he and Swartz vote Bittner, and then they get the Beef flip again and Bittner's gone.
I also have my idol, so that's definitely going to be used tonight. I'm not of the school of thought that idols should be tucked and then saved at the end to flex on people. I think they're meant to be used. So if I lose immunity, it's being played on myself 100%. If I win immunity, I'm playing it on someone else. It's that simple.
Hopefully I do. I don't think there's going to be too much shakeup unless Sahil or Bittner win, in which case then I'll be a little bit on edge because they could, if they're really smart, they could try to play the idol where they think the votes are going. So, but if Beef also has a hidden immunity idol. I don't know. I've mentioned that previously. So he's safe no matter what tonight, even if he doesn't win immunity. So, yeah. Hopefully things just go nice and smooth tonight. Fields, we've been working together essentially the whole game. It started out we were working together where he wasn't really playing the game much and he was barely showing up, but he would vote however whatever aligned with my wishes. So he's been a good ally pretty much the whole time.
Part of the reasoning for wanting to bring Fields in the first place was that he didn't actually play the game pretty much at all in the first half. We kind of saw him as probably the biggest goat in this game that you'd love to sit at the end with probably little chance of winning. And he recognized that early on, but also we now feel that Sahil might actually be that bigger goat because he really hasn't done a whole lot. He hasn't, played the game. He's more just shown up and had fun with it, which not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not the easiest way to win. Whereas now Fields has made a bunch of game-changing moves and blind sides. He definitely actually does have a resume. So definitely would prefer to sit at the end with Sahil at this point. I love my son, but yeah.
Sahil, I've essentially not worked with this whole game, even though we've kept in contact to a degree, but I don't know if we've had a single vote that we've gone together except for maybe one of the last couple where he's been maybe a little spooked and that he might be in trouble. So he actually voted against someone who was vaguely aligned with him to a degree just to save his own butt. So, but I've texted him, kind of tried to extend olive branch, but neither one of us has ever been willing to really jump to the other side. So, but at the same time, I don't view him as a huge threat. I don't know if he's done a ton in the game, or I think if I went to the end with Sahil, I would hopefully have the better case. So
I just think Swartz needs to go now just because he's got too strong of a story for finals, because if he makes it there, then I think the game is his, right? So yeah, and I don't want him to win immunity next week, which is what I told Beef and Fields. Because if he wins immunity next week, if he makes it through this week and wins immunity next week, then I just think it's kaput. Game's over. He's won. So that's how I got them off. That's what I've said to them this week to try to get them to not vote Bittner. But yeah.
If I get voted out tonight, it is what it is. I set out exactly what I wanted to accomplish this time around. If I'm the fifth, if I get fifth, I'm not gonna be sad, have any regrets, any complaints. So I'm pretty excited to have gotten this far, and hopefully can push it the rest of the way. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Okay, 5 minutes till next challenge. Plan remains the same. Either me, Beef, or Fields needs to win this challenge. And if that's the case, then we'll be able to vote out Bittner pretty much no problem at all. If Bittner or Sawhill wins the challenge, then we could have some drama tonight. So fingers crossed, maybe I can just take this one home.
All right, so right now I'm putting in a form.
Bittner, you called
and put your name into the first part of the form.
Jesus Christ! Oh my God!
All right, hey, Bittner, this one's only 1 page though, so.
I don't know if that makes me feel any better, actually.
So basically, this challenge is run kind of like challenges on the show. It's a counting challenge. Basically, I am going to send 3 pictures in the Facebook group, and on each picture, there's something that is very, easy to figure out what you need to count. One of them is the number of rings on a tree stump. The next is number of fish in, the school of fish, and the next one is the number of chopsticks. And so basically, your goal is to look at those pictures, come up with the numbers, and with those numbers solve a 6-digit code. So I'm going to put in those 3 pictures. All right, and they are in the Facebook group.
Oh, what the fuck? We're supposed to count how many rings there are?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, oh my God, my eyes are breaking. Oh, fuck.
know that feeling. Dude, one of these I've changed my numbers 4 times. I'm just not getting this. Got it.
What was it?
I'm honestly not sure what I just typed in. Plasty, can you verify that I won before I say what it was?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, was it 52, 1942, or 1952, 42? One of the...
It was the first one.
Oh
okay,
my
52,
God.
1942.
How did I add those numbers after 15 seconds of counting and then submitted them what I thought was every possible way? And I guess I missed one.
Well, with that, Beef wins immunity, is definitely part of the final 4. For the other 4 of you guys, one of you guys will be voted out today.
Apparently I cannot do basic counting. I got 17 or 18 on whatever it was I was supposed to count that actually had 19 things, so much for winning the tribal, or the challenge, but Beef won, which is one of the next best results, which means that me, Beef, and Field, as long as we stick together, we just get to pick off whoever we want, and ideally I would like to pick off Bittner, and Bittner apparently came really close to getting those 3 numbers. He said he got those 3 numbers, so sucks for him, but I think this is the end of the line for old Matthew Bittner.
Got T-minus about 30 minutes to tribal. I know my name's getting thrown out there. I know my son is lying to me. He's targeting me finally, and he's working with Swartz. So I know I'm their target. I've heard that through Sawhill, and I can also just tell that that Alex is lying to me. But I think Sawhill is definitely with us in wanting to vote Swartz.
Took a lot to architect this one. Yeah, should be good though. But never know.
Talk with Fields, had a tough conversation, but we're gonna go for Swords. I was able to convince him that it's our best chance of winning the game, even if it theoretically hurts our chances of making it to the end. It's all about winning. It's I didn't play this game to make it to the end. I played it to win.
While anything's possible, I say the most likely outcome is that Swartz or Fields gets voted out. So, if it's me, it's definitely not going to be a blindside. Happy with the way I've played my season. I'm happy I made it to the final 5. I'd love to finish strong because I think I can win this game. But if this is the end, this is the end. But hopefully it's not. We'll see.
Welcome to your next tribal council. First things first, Beef, congratulations. You won immunity. You are safe at this tribal council. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think there's nothing that's more important than, I feel unsafe every single time I'm at tribal, even when I have an immunity, or in this case, double immunity. And I think that just because this game is like the ultimate mind game, that you just never feel like, things are safe. So yeah, I mean, winning immunity challenges is the most safe you can be. So yes, it feels good to win.
All right. So what do you mean about double immunity?
I have this as well. This is the idol that Harrison gave me.
For the other 4 of you guys, did you all know about that?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's been public knowledge since Ray asked for
Departure of Brad.
Ray outed me big time.
Yeah.
Well, originally it would have been dumb to vote for Beef because you had to assume he was going to play the idol for himself. And now it's impossible to vote for Beef. So here we are. Whether that changes anything, I have no idea because I wasn't planning on voting for Beef.
Swartz, do you think that there's a chance that Beef still plays the idol, albeit not for himself?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't. There's no point in having 2 idols on yourself, so you might as well throw it on someone else.
No, I have no comment. No comment.
Sahil, what's your strategy to get from the 5 down to the 3?
Well, make it through this one, and then make it through the next. I don't know, just keep going. I don't know. My strategy has just been week to week, and here we are. We get the last 2 weeks, so just power through, I guess.
After an entire season of playing together and with how things have been maybe a bit more, like we've discussed, have been a bit more fluid at times in terms of voting blocks, I'm pretty sure everybody in this group has worked with everybody else in this group at one time or another. I think it's more about hoping that the relationships you've made throughout the game end up constituting an actual majority and everyone isn't just lying to you.
I think people are being truthful. Maybe I'm just being hopeful, but like Bender said, we've all worked together, it seems, of the 5 of us left so far at one point or another. So based on those pre-existing relationships, I think we all hope and believe that we're being truthful. At least that's where I'm coming from.
More or less, we've all worked together. But I think, me and Bittner haven't texted so far today.
Yeah,
so.
let's be clear. We're not on the same side of this vote, and I think we've been on the same side of many votes in a while. I don't think that's going to change. We can push that out there. So I guess it's really where the other 3 fall.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, so Bittner, to be clear, you were basically saying that this vote is kind of a showdown between you and Swartz?
Well, I don't think it's a showdown like a personal thing between Swartz and I, but if we're going to say who are the 2 least likely people to work together in this vote, if we're just being objective and honest, it's going to be me and Swartz.
Sahil, that leaves kind of you, Alec, and Beef in the middle. Is that how you feel going into this?
I do not feel like Bittner or Swartz, no. Yeah, I think I'm in the middle. I don't know. Wait, sorry, Pulaski, can you repeat your question?
Dude, that answer could not have made less sense, bro. I have no idea what you were saying.
My bad. That one's on me.
Basically, in the last 2 minutes of our conversation, both Bittner and Swartz admitted that they haven't really talked to each other about this vote. And they both are kind of on opposing sides of this vote, which leaves you, Alec, and Beef in the middle. Is that how you felt going into this? And kind of, have you listened and heard from both sides, or have you heard just like one game plan?
Yeah, I guess I knew I would be in the middle before. I talked to one side. I didn't respond to the other side. Yeah. Sorry, other side. No hate, all love.
Alec, do you want to interpret for me, what does that mean when Sahil says basically what he rambled on about?
Well, I can just say that I was the one left on red.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
Well, he doesn't have his red receipts on, so I didn't know at first. But once we made it to tribal, I was pretty sure that I wasn't gonna get a response. So I'd say a little sad. I think you owe me an apology.
Yeah. Sorry. It's just the way.
Apology accepted.
So, Alec, how have you had the same kind of issues and things going on today, like Sahil has said?
I haven't had to encounter that. I haven't had to.
All right. Well, in that case, it is time to vote.
And if it happens, it happens. There's not a whole lot I can do about it, but hopefully that won't happen.
I have a question for you. If I wanted to, could I vote for myself?
You cannot vote for yourself, unfortunately.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So, if anyone has a hidden immunity idol and would like to play it, now is the time to do so.
Give me 1 sec. All right, I'm back. Yeah, I've been of the belief that these should never be tucked for the end. I think it's like a jury strategy that some people do in Survivor, and I think I don't know, it doesn't really mean anything. I totally don't need to play this because I just want immunity. There's one player in the game who he's not going to go home tonight, but at the end of the day, I've played Survivor with this guy a whole bunch. We've been on the wrong side of so many votes, and Bittner, you're not going home, but I'm playing this on you, bro.
Let's see what
So, Bittner, any votes cast against you will not count. And with that, I'll read the votes. First vote, Swartz. Bittner, does not count. Swartz, it is 2 votes Swartz. And the 16th person voted out, and the 9th member of our jury, Swartz, that is 3. That is enough. And with that, the tribe is spoken.
Damn.
Thanks, buddy. Much
All right, man.
appreciated.
Love you, bro. That's my son. Played a baller game.
He did. He really did.
Could deserve to win this game. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
All right, well, congratulations to you 4. You have made it to the final 4.
I was completely blindsided by Beef. I did not think that he was going to use the idol to get me out. Even though now looking back at it, I realize I probably was his biggest threat left in the game. I thought he was going to take me to the end because he thought he could beat me. I thought he would beat me, so I really didn't think it was going to be me. I was bummed. Field stuck by me, and it completely made sense for Bittner and Sahil to vote the way they did. I just did not see it coming, and there wasn't much I could do about it other than win that challenge. Yeah, hard way to go out. I regret, I guess, not getting Beef earlier when I really could have, but I just didn't see it coming.
Last tribal really went as well as I could have hoped for. Sahil and Fields voted with us. Beef played the idol for me, which I was definitely worried about because I don't think it makes sense for him to take me to the end of this game. Even at this point, I think it makes sense for him to betray me and bring Fields and Sahil, but that would be incredibly weird because he could have just done that last night if he wanted to.
I mean, the whole point of me saving Bittner throughout the entire season was that so I would make him like so indebted to me by continuously saving him that at the end of the season, if he came down to it, he would do the same for me. I think it's possible he would. If he doesn't, I totally don't blame him.
If I win the immunity challenge and it's my choice, I definitely will be bringing beef. I owe him that much, and I definitely lose his vote on the jury. I'd lose probably a bunch of people's respect for doing that, so I do want to sit at the end with him. And also, it's just the right thing to do. I've enjoyed playing this whole season with him, and I want to follow through on our agreement from day one. So in that vein, hopefully one of the two of us can win immunity. Hopefully it's me, further bolster my resume just a little bit.
I'm strongly considering throwing the challenge because I think there's nothing stronger for my game than not winning this challenge and people honestly thinking it's a good idea to take me to the end. I think that's like in some ways it's a stronger selling point for my game than winning the challenge, because that shows how strong my social game was, that I could be in the Final Four and everyone should know they should vote me out and I didn't get voted out. At the same time, like winning the challenge would mean I won 4 in a row to get to the final, which is really hard to argue against if you make it to the end. So I really think if I make it to the end, win or lose this challenge, I can spin either to the dominant part of the resume.
I think that I've been working closely with Beef, and I think that other people know this. And I think we played a great game. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone votes out one of us. That being said, because Beef has had the immunity idol and he's won in the past, I think people might try to vote him over me if Sahil or Bittner wins. If I win and that's only a 50% chance. If Beef wins, or if I win, I think that, we've had this alliance going the whole game. We'll continue it into the finals. And I think we can leverage our immunity to make sure that happens.
So yeah, I'm going to compete like hell. Probably more than I have in almost any other challenge this season. Hopefully I can win and then make a good argument to win this game. But yeah, not feeling too worried going into this week. Just wanna cross the finish line. See how it goes.
All right, so final Survivor confessional. That's pretty crazy. I made it. Boogie down for that. Yeah, nothing's really going on. Haven't talked to anybody. Waiting to see how the challenge goes, and then we'll make up the minds from there. Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
First things first, everybody needs to get a butter knife. Sick. All right. So basically the challenge is very simple. You're going to add a coin of my choosing to the butter knife and stack on top of each other. Every minute you will add another one. And basically, if your coin stack falls off your butter knife when you're holding it, you are out. If your stack does fall during that transition period, it still counts. All right. Then hold your butter knife, and you will have 5 seconds to place a quarter on the knife. All right, you guys good? Go.
All right, someone's got to come up with something to talk about while we're doing this.
I'm skipping my first real day on my job for this, so kind of hope I win.
I was hoping it would be like an athletic thing. I was like, oh, this will count as my workout today.
Nope. No.
All right, and everyone can add a nickel or a nickel-sized coin.
I'm not trying to do this for an hour.
We'll see.
You're welcome to give up, dude.
I probably will at some point, like no guy.
Any of your quarters from fun states. This one's from Florida. Very exciting.
Got a 2019 Massachusetts. That's pretty cool.
That's a sick dime.
That's very impressive.
Sahil, where are you right now?
Like a sofa.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just trying to be quiet. I wasn't sure if there was going to be some vacuuming going on, so my exterior location, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I had to move interior because of the wind.
you looking at, Sahil?
This one's like a Teddy Roosevelt one. It just says Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh.
The back of the 20-cent euro coin has a very famous sculpture from the Futurism movement. That's kind of fun.
All right. You guys can add another penny.
I was up until like 4 last night.
Doing what?
Absolutely nothing.
Just beefing it up.
I feel like Swartz would have done really well in this challenge. I'm just gonna say it.
10 minutes. You guys can add another quarter. Fields, if you need us to pause the challenge at any point, that's also totally good.
No, I just had to explain to my girlfriend who walked in what I'm doing.
Yeah, I feel like Sahil's about to win. His form is looking really clean.
All right. You guys can add a penny.
You got good form, Sahil.
Thank you, J Beefy. Yeah, I feel like I'm using the weight of the knife well, Got a good distribution going.
It's fine.
Oh my god, that's too
I have my loved ones visit.
This is men's challenge right now going on live. No,
15 minutes. You guys can add another dime. How's everybody feeling?
Fantastic.
My fingers are kind of sticking together, which is like weird because like when I tried to unstick them, there was like a big, it was like a pulling, so it like snapped, like a. Oh God.
All right. And with that, Sahil is out of the challenge.
All right. Well, see you guys later.
See you, Sahil.
Bye.
Sahil. Yeah, can't blame him for not sticking around.
All right. You guys have hit 25 minutes. Add another dime.
I dropped my dime.
Beef, it was just the dime that was on top that you're trying to place, right?
Yeah, it fell off while I was trying to place it.
Cool.
Wait, Alec, are you holding the other end of the knife?
No, very much here. My hand's just resting. Bullshit! You made me just. You distracted me. I looked at my other hand and I moved it. Fuck.
Sorry, buddy.
That's bullshit.
That was not my intent, if that makes you feel any better. But
I know, but obviously I raised my other hand from my lap and all of a sudden my other hand twisted. That's. Alright, I guess I'll go. Good luck, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, Alec.
I did. That was tough. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely getting close to the end.
The same, I'm close.
I thought I was going to fall during that transition.
Like, you or me had to win this thing. We're safe either way, bro. You choose who goes.
Exactly.
I mean,
you're definitely making final three at this point.
If you win, I don't give a shit. That's cool by me. If I drop, I don't care.
Yeah, all I know is if you win this challenge, you're definitely winning at Final 3. Given my performance in challenges this season, I need at least one on my belt.
Feel you on that, man. Absolutely no hard feelings if this falls because I'm fucking close.
Yeah, I'm incredibly close too.
All right, you guys can add another penny. All right.
I'm done.
And with that, Bittner has won. Bittner, congratulations. You win immunity. You have earned your spot in the final 3 and a chance to plead your case to the jury at the final tribal council. Beef, unfortunately for you, that means you, Sawhill, and Fields are all vulnerable for elimination. Bittner, congratulations again.
Well done, bro. That was impressive.
Oh yeah, dude. About time. It's about time. We're preparing that
I
speech.
agree with that. It's about time you made it.
I really needed to win that. I didn't think I had any chance. I thought if Beef won immunity, I didn't think I had any chance at winning this game. But I knew I needed to win to add that to my resume to really have a shot at beating Beef at the end without betraying him. So was very excited.
I was pretty bitter about the challenge, as you probably saw. Whatever, I guess I learned a valuable lesson that I probably shouldn't try to appease the other contestants when you aren't necessarily asking me to do something. But whatever, at the end of the day, Bittner won, and credit to him.
I've talked with him about it, and he might have a different feeling, but I wasn't genuinely trying to screw him up. I couldn't see where his hand was, and from my perspective, it looked like he was holding on to the other side, which, I mean, granted, we're over video call. It's not that difficult to cheat on these challenges if you really want to. And so I was just pointing something out. I had no intent of actually trying to screw him up, but given that Beef and our intent was purely just to beat Alec in the challenge, I mean, I couldn't say I was disappointed when he fell.
I needed to come up with someone who I could bring to the end, who would have a big enough ego in this game to genuinely think they could make it to the end against me and win the game. And so in some ways, him winning immunity gave him the firepower to believe, well, I won final immunity, so I can totally win this game. And the idea of taking me to the end is less about I'm going to lose to him, but more about if I beat him, look at what this says about my resume and the game I played.
Con of bringing Beef through is that he has the highest chance of winning the game. A pro is that we've played the season together all season. He gave me the idol at the final 5, likely as a strategic move to make sure that if I won immunity at the final 4, I would bring him through. But at the end of the day, it was valuable and meant a lot to me. And that's not something I want to betray.
My whole structure was that I would get to a final 4 where it would be logistically impossible for people to rally 3 votes on me. And so whoever won, that was going to be an extremely difficult thing to do. So I didn't really feel that bad about whoever won, honestly, because I did not think there would be a reality in which 3 votes would come my way, irrespective of who won. That being said, I think the easiest route for me would have been obviously me winning or Sahil winning, because I think Sahil's probably perceived as the biggest GOAT left in the game. So him winning wouldn't have changed anything. And by that same standard, me winning wouldn't have, because I would have won. I think actually Fields winning was probably my worst scenario. And I think I said this last time, because at that point, Bittner then has to vote for Sahil, which he's not doing. You're not, if I'm Bittner, I'm not voting out Sahil at Final 4. That makes no sense for my game.
And then Sahil is a big pro is that he just hasn't played the game much, and he probably won't make much of a speech to the jury. So even though he could pull some votes, he probably won't, because he's just not going to make a speech, and that's just not his style. The con of bringing him is that he is the only remaining person from the other tribe from when we merged. And those were our original kind of lines when we merged. So he could end up getting a lot of votes from people like Andy and Ray, Randy, Reggie. Not to say he will, but there's potential there.
All right, so I'm not gonna explain it all because it'd take too long and I don't have that much time because we're about to start tribal. But big move about to come. Hopefully, I've kept it close to the vest. Haven't been talking to anybody, so should go. It's a play for a challenge between two people who aren't me, so it should hopefully work out well for me either way. All right, deuces papooses. I'll see you there.
I'm definitely most strongly considering voting Alec out because he has played a good game, and I'm definitely somewhat considering voting Sahil out. My mind is not really made up yet.
Playing with Bittner's been a blast, and I think he's a fantastic guy. I just think he was the perfect person to play this game with for this type of strategy. So I really hope he, fits the bill that I've tried to put together, in which case I'm not getting any votes, and then that's the second season in a row where I haven't been voted for. So I would love for that to happen. I'm like intermediately confident. I think it's really still possible that Bittner, Sahil, and Fields look at this and say, you know what, this is just a game move. We played the game with him. It would just be wrong to take him to the end, and I totally understand that. Nothing I can do about it.
Alec, the pro of bringing him through is that he's kind of played a game that has depended on Beef and I in a lot of ways and has been reliant on us, but has only flipped at a couple times. Whereas the con of bringing him is for the same reason. He's made a bunch of really good moves this game. Whereas in the first quarter of the game, he either didn't show up or didn't play or didn't know what was going on. He's honestly ended up turning into a really worthy adversary in this game, and someone who has betrayed me multiple times and made key moves at multiple times, and also worked with people who I worked to vote out. So I'm sure if we go to the final three and Alec is there, he'll have Swartz's vote. I wouldn't be surprised if he had Joey's vote because he tried to work with them. So there's definitely a con of bringing him.
I have a strong feeling that I'm on the chopping block because I really haven't heard from Sahil. And Bittner's been pretty open with me that he's willing to commit filicide, given that I'm his son in the fraternity family system. So we'll see what happens, but he has a lot of power, and our relationship has been somewhat rocky. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went for me. But obviously, if he can get out Beef or if he can get out me, then doing that on the heels of getting out Zach would be two potentially game-winning moves. So yeah.
If I'm sitting at the end, and at this moment, it's most likely it's going to be me, Beef, and Sahil. If it's the three of us, and Beef and I put up good arguments, go after each other a little bit, and he wins for the second time, I'm not going to complain because he put up a great season, and I don't have to vote on a winner. And that was my goal from the very beginning.
Ideally, my plan is to try to convince Sahil to vote for Beef, and I'm hoping to convince Sahil by saying that if he were to vote for Beef or me, it would end up being Bittner's move because he's just going to follow what Bittner does, whereas he can direct the game by actively voting out Beef.
All right, got a big move coming up. We're right about to get into final tribal here.
They would be 2-2, and maybe we could try to convince Bittner. But we'll see. I don't know if he'll really buy that.
I think the word I'm looking for is complacency. I think that's been an issue throughout my Survivor. I haven't, so many of my allies, my close allies got out because I would sit back, and I think I've been complacent a lot of the times, but here I am, I've stayed low, I've played under the radar, and I've made my way to finals, and I was just gonna vote with Bittner and Beef, but I think that would be the complacent move. So yeah, I'm gonna do something a little crazy. Yeah. All right, I'll see you there.
All I gotta say is this: I've said this the entire game. For someone to get me out of this game, it would be a very loyal alliance completely violating it. And I've been able to socially develop relationships with Bittner and Fields in this game, that for them to vote for me at this point, I think would be perceived as a highly personal, uncomfortable thing to do. And I've taken the game beyond the game. I've taken it to the point where voting me out is not only a game decision, but a referendum on whether or not you can actually like be friends with me after this. And that's that's playing the game really hard. So I think they're totally not going to vote for me. But if they do, more power to them. I would have done the same. It's a game move. And I'd like to see Fields winning the game if that happens.
Welcome to your last Tribal Council before the final Tribal Council. First off, let's just go to Bittner. Congratulations on winning. What are your thoughts on that? How does it feel to have some power in this position right now?
I mean, first, it just feels good given that I didn't do very well compared to my previous 2 seasons in terms of challenges for this entire season. Both occasionally on purpose, but mostly unintentionally. My performance in challenges was not great this season, so winning the final one when it mattered most definitely felt good. Obviously, this is a situation of 4 people who have played the game for the entire season. Obviously care about this to varying degrees, but probably more than most people who started out at the beginning of this. And it feels great not to have to worry about who I'm going to the end with and needing to rely on other people to bring me there.
What's been going on behind the scenes since the challenge ended?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the text messages I've gotten have been more numerous since I won immunity. I've definitely been getting messages from the other 3, kind of all pleading their case as to why they should be sitting with me at the end. And honestly, my mind hasn't been fully made up, so it's been kind of interesting seeing now, kind of for the first time, this game actually being in control of what's been happening, and seeing how that works accordingly has been pretty interesting.
Fields, Bittner brought up that kind of everyone pled their case to him about why they should bring you. So what was your case, and how did that come about?
Well, my case is that, one, I think in the earlier stage of the game, I wasn't as involved. So I think that's probably a key element that the jury might be thinking about. I'm not so sure that I've been such close allies with the people on the jury. I've allied pretty well with Bittner, with Sahil, with Beef throughout the game. And so that's great, but a part of that means that if I were to make it to the finals, then the people who would be voting for me are people who weren't necessarily my allies, which means they wouldn't have the same reason to vote for me.
All right. And Beef, what was your case?
I did really poor jury management this season and screwed over a lot of people. So that's a desirable person to have sitting next to you because you pissed off a lot of people.
And Sahil, what was yours?
Honestly, I think Bittner's I think he's just played a better game than me, I guess. I'm not really a threat to him.
Bittner, it gets to this kind of decision of, do you want to take people to the end that you know you can beat, or take people to the end that you have showed loyalty to and they have shown loyalty to you, but they might not be, in essence, a person that won't get any votes at the end?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because at the end of the day, I don't feel like there's any of the 4 of us are people that won't receive votes at the end. Everybody here has pros and cons for being at the end. Beef has won before. He's played a good game. He knows how to make alliances with people. Fields might not have played a lot at the beginning, but he made some key votes when it mattered during the game and aligned himself with some people that went out kind of late in the jury. Sahil didn't really play the game much at all, but still managed to make it to the end and made some close allies with people that are going to be on the jury, like Andy. There's reasons to bring and not to bring everybody, or the other 3 that are sitting here. And in terms of being loyal to people, I've worked with also all 3 of these people. Granted, I've definitely worked with Beef for the longest, and Alec pretty close in terms of length next to that, aligning myself with Beef first early in the season and then Alec soon after that. You know, there's reasons to bring everyone, there's reasons to vote out everyone, and it's, you know, it's tough to say, especially when you get to this point and everyone's put in this much time and this much effort, especially post or in the middle of this pandemic, and the amount of commitment people have had to put forth. It's hard to quantify and hard to compare.
If there's anything left unsaid that you would want to say, now is the time.
Thank you for a great season.
I was gonna say, it's been a hell of a fucking season. This has been so much fun.
Hey, we recorded, Final Travel. We'll do all the celebration stuff.
No, I also, to the rest of the guys on the other three guys here, last season, playing to the similar point in the season, everyone took it seriously whenever it was sick. I think it's so cool that all of y'all still took it this seriously over Zoom and like committed to still playing the game, because it's just way more fun when
I remember that Beef and I were talking right when this all started, and we really thought it was just going to be the two of us still giving a shit and like showing up for these, and everyone else was going to bail. And so I was so happy to see everyone actually stuck with this and made this as fun as it was, because like it would have hurt to lose early on to the merge, but it definitely would have hurt more because everyone actually still kept caring. And it's honestly, it's been so much fun because of that.
Yeah, agreed. It's my first time playing. I've had a blast, so thank you.
Awesome. All right, then with that, it is time to vote.
Still some text happening. I'm really not sure what is going on right now, but I think, I'm not sure what's going on right now.
If I somehow navigate my way out of this without any votes being cast for me, that'd be sick. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Shaking it up like bacon.
So, this is the final vote. Person voted out will be asked to leave. The remaining 3 members will make up the final 3 of the season and will go into final travel council. First vote. Fields. Beef. Sahil. That's 1 vote Beef, 1 vote Fields, 1 vote Sahil, 1 vote left. And the 17th person voted out, and the 10th member of our jury, Sahil. That is 2. That is enough. Thank you, Sahil. With that, the tribe has spoken.
Yeah, I love you, bro.
Yes!
Yeah, you guys are final 3. Congratulations.
Let's go, boy. What was Sahil doing, bro?
I have no idea. That beats me. I have no idea what he was doing. That should have been a final 2, but
I know exactly. Oh, fuck yeah. I'll explain in the jury.
Fields, you pulling that off is sick, dude.
Damn. Wow. Fucking respect. Jesus.
My goal at the beginning of the game was to show that someone could enter a season as a winner and still like play the game they want to play and have a competitive game. Because like the story of Alpha Survivor has always been, if you won, you're just automatically written off the next season. And I think like win or lose, I kind of proved that wrong. Like I definitely showed a winner could come back the following season, back it up, play a great game, and still pretty much get there.
I certainly feel somewhat uncomfortable. I'm definitely intrigued. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, I've had a good run, I'd like to think, so we'll see.
No offense. This game is, like, at the end of the day, this game is kind of stupid. Like, we're playing a Survivor parody among our fraternity. Like, there is something inherently ridiculous about that. But every time we've played, I've kind of been blown away by how much it's come to mean to people and how seriously people take it and how into it the majority of people get every time, especially come the merge and post-merge, which I've always made. Never been eliminated before the merge. But then I always get seen as a threat. I make a wrong step. My ally gets eliminated. I allow that to happen. Something. gets in the way and I get eliminated. So this time, somehow this season has actually been even more fun than any of the other times, even despite this transition to online. And it's been so fun to continue with it and to succeed through it, and now to make it to the end, that it's honestly, it's more satisfying than I ever actually thought it could be.
So, thank you guys all for making it. This is our last meeting. This is the final tribal council. So basically how this is going to work is the three finalists, Beef, Fields, and Bittner, will all start off with having an opening statement. And then after that, we're going to go into the new way that Survivor does final tribal council, which is we're going to go by the motto, which is outwit, outplay, and outlast. So in the outwit and outplay portions, the jury is meant to ask as many questions as possible in order to come to a conclusion on who they would like to vote for at the end. We are going to start off with opening statements, starting with Beef.
So I want to start by thanking Pulaski. This game has been a fantastic part of this brotherhood for my time in it. And especially as we've been home over the last couple of weeks and months, I think it's kept a lot of us involved in a very meaningful way. So I'm very excited for Ray to be taking over next year. I also enjoyed Ray's paranoia and participation in a lot this year because it definitely helped my game. And I think if Bittner hops in on that, that'd be great too. Y'all will do a hell of a job. I also want to quickly touch on Fields and Bittner. These are two guys I obviously played the game a lot with and very closely. Starting with Fields and I met the first day of Survivor in Simon Hall, and I was literally explaining like what a challenge was and what an idol was and like what advantages were. And then by the end of this game, this dude was just like totally on par with me, putting together these like crazy plans. We were going back and forth with each other. It was amazing to see his development this season. So the student didn't quite become the teacher. I don't think he won the game, but it was great working with him. And I'm really proud of the accomplishments he's made. Also, Bittner, I'll go into this later on during the outwit portion of the game. Bittner was like a huge cornerstone of my strategy in this game. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail other than it was a very critical part of my manipulation in this game and my social game. And yeah, I'd love to take questions about this later on and go into further detail. At the end of the day, it was a blast playing with him. We'd screwed each other many times before, so it was really fun to be here in the final three with him. So high level for my game, I really played a long game, and I think the jury should really respect a full body of work. I was totally here to play from day one and was all in on going for the end from day one. I had very long-term strategies and tried to do a lot to make sure they happened. I also played a really different game from my season last season. I very intentionally tried to diminish my target, played a lot of both sides, and most importantly, made really close individual alliances with every single person in this game. I tried to make the game as wide open as possible and encourage as many large majority votes on each vote, because if I knew who was in the majority for every single vote, it was very obvious to me who wasn't and who was not necessarily going to be on my side. So if there was a blind side that was going to be launched on me, I would know about it before it happened. But the key to my game was really these individual alliances. All of you at some point in the game talked one-on-one with me, and this happened pretty much for all the people who got out too. And at the end of the day, you guys realized that for some reason trusting me might be in the interest of your game. It proved not to be in the interest of your game, but this is a really important part of mine, that if I was in everyone's pocket and everyone felt like I was in theirs, I would know what was happening. So at the end of the day, I had a huge target in this game. I had literally one vote cast for me in the last 2 seasons, and then Sahil was the one person who did it at Final Four, and then joke was on him because he got voted out. I had an idol that was never flushed. I won the most immunity challenges this season. So it was a blast. I love being here with Fields and Bittner because they were a huge part of it. It's a team game, but I definitely think my game speaks for itself.
Up next is Bittner.
I really thought after everything started post-spring break that this was just going to all fall apart. And I was like very, very, very happily surprised that everyone stuck with this. This has actually been the most fun season of Survivor. I'm pretty sure Beef agrees with that. Well, maybe Beef played the best long game. I think I played the best overall game in terms of what I needed to be getting here to the end. The first time I played this game, I got immediately cut out because I played the outplay portion of the game wrong. I tried too hard to get advantages and idols. I did too well in some of the challenges. And the moment we hit the merge, immediately me and my closest allies were voted out. And so from that season, I realized I can't outdo the outplay portion of the game. And then in my second season, I went into it trying with this idea, but that kind of led to me not playing the game enough. And so then when things would happen, like my relationships with Beef and Ray at the end of last season, I wasn't in a position to play the game well enough because I had downplayed how much I needed to. So from that, I learned I needed to play as less than was going to get me voted out and make me a target, but I need to focus on the outwit portion of the game. But then when I realized the one thing I was missing was the outlast portion, and that's really where my game came into play and how my game was based largely around Beef. And Beef said, we were great allies. We absolutely were. I can promise I would not be sitting in the final 3 if it were not for Beef. And I truly believe that goes both ways. We would probably both not be sitting here if it weren't for the other. However, I based my game around outlasting. Like Pulaski said, the 3 of us have managed to outlast everyone else, but at the end of the day, what's most important is getting jury votes at the end. Whereas I knew from last season that Beef's strategy and the reason he was able to get to the end and win the last time was because he forms broad alliances with everybody in the game. I wanted to only actually form alliances with the people I was going to work with and work as hard as possible to not have to betray those alliances. I mean, this was kind of done for me because Alec especially voted out the majority of my allies, from James, Harvey, Andy, Sahil, all of you guys. When I made final 3 deals with you, I was genuine about that. And then unfortunately, moves were made behind my back that I didn't take part in that got you guys voted out. And so when I started realizing towards the end of this game that I've been playing a good game with good jury management and could possibly outlast Beef and maybe get more votes than him because I wasn't having to betray as many people, I stuck with that strategy. And luckily, I'm sitting here at the end.
And lastly, Fields.
When I started this game, I obviously, like was said, was inexperienced, didn't know much, but I made sure to read the rules very closely, and I spoke to many people about various strategies to make sure that I could win the game, including Beef, so big thanks to him. I actually took advantage of the fact that people knew I wouldn't be such a snake, and I made sure to form a lot of alliances. I let my allies direct the votes in the beginning and then convinced them I was with them, so later on they'd be with me. When we got to merge, I realized that we were really just in voting blocks and that I was a part of the larger voting block, New Caliban. But I also recognized that I had the opportunity to form more alliances if I could save the members of Bionic. So if I saved them and voted against Caliban, I knew I would gain their trust, and that's what I did. When I won the push-up challenge, I took advantage and decided to shift the dynamics of the game in my favor. So by teaming with some of you guys in Bionic, I was able to team with both of you and get out James, thereby making sure I had alliances on both sides. And apologies to James for orchestrating that. You're a great player. Only did it because you were really a threat in the game. So once I realized I had alliances with everyone, that was exactly where I wanted to be. I focused on strengthening close alliances with the people who I knew were willing to text everyone, like Ray, in their half of the tribe to convince everyone that we should vote for a particular person. Thereby, I knew I could essentially orchestrate a lot of the votes. So I used this influence to go for people who were dangerous in challenges or people I couldn't trust. I'm sorry to Reggie, but you were so good in challenges that kind of needed to happen. And even though a lot of people were behind that, there were other votes where people weren't behind the same people I wanted to get out. So like, for example, Ray, I knew he had an advantage. So I made sure to ally with Joey, who I knew had an idol, convinced everyone else to vote for Joey. And then Joey and I single-handedly got out Ray with just 2 votes because he didn't use his advantage. So I could have just rode with my 4 or 5 allies to the finals, got to the final 5. I realized I should continue with the strategy of mixing things up and allying with everyone so I could orchestrate the votes to my advantage. And that's when I knew Harrison had his advantage, and he had played arguably the greatest game until that point. So I tried to convince Sahil and by extension Andy, because they were so close, to go for him and to shore up alliances with them to get out who I thought was the best player of the game at that point. So I'm sorry to Harrison, but it helped me get alliances with everyone else. I knew that with Swartz getting out, who was a close ally, I thought I might be a little bit screwed, especially because Bittner wanted to go for me. After he'd underestimated me for so long, I knew he wanted to go for me. I convinced Beef to continue our alliance that we've had throughout the game and vote for Sahil to keep me in. And then I convinced Sahil to vote for Beef because I told, and this is the shittiest thing I've done. I'm so sorry, Sahil. But I convinced Sahil to vote for Beef
saying that it would be our move to get out Beef and we'd run to the finals together. Ultimately, I've been regretting it. I don't know which way I should have gone, but unfortunately, someone had to get out. But the point is that I controlled the vote in the final vote, which I think is critically important. Ultimately, I pretty much bounced between the blocks, formed alliances with everyone to be the swing vote and orchestrate it when I needed to be, and stayed loyal to my closest ally to be throughout the game.
So now this next part is the outwit portion. So like I said earlier, this has to do with your social ties, your strategy, how you manipulated the game to be in your favor.
I have a question for Fields, which is how did you make that decision to go for Sawhill and not Beef? Because I don't.
It was definitely the hardest decision I made in the game. I realized that Beef and I had been together throughout the entirety of the game, and even though Saul and I had a long-standing alliance for the last 6 or 7 weeks, from the beginning I made a promise to Beef, and he did to me as well, that we were going to make sure to get to the finals together, and I really respect the hell out of it. So because of that, I said, you know what, even though it might screw me over in the finals, ultimately I think I've played a strong enough game that I can win on my own merit, and I should take Beef to the finals with me.
So it was more of a loyalty play than a strategic.
Yeah, at that point it was loyalty. I mean, I thought, if worst case I'm totally wrong and I get out, how do I want to end this game? Do I want to do it by, being an asshole, or by being loyal to the person who I was most loyal to from the beginning? And I said, you know what, I'm going to end it the same way I started, with loyalty.
So somebody explain the Harrison vote for me, since I wasn't involved in the game.
So I think, as we all know, votes are not, I don't think any individual person is necessarily responsible for any vote, because you need a collective to actually vote someone out. That vote was Harrison. I flipped on you. That was pretty simple. Harrison was playing the strongest game at Final 7. That was a long game decision. I also knew that Harrison had just won an advantage from the riddle. Honestly, Harrison, I was initially planning on going to Final 3 with you, but you were playing too good of a game, so Fields.
Yeah, same with me. Beef and I were on the same page on that. We thought Final 3 could be us 3, but you played a sick game. And
I actually
Fields
wanted to bring you to
right
Final
there,
3 if that makes any difference here. I actually was real about that. So
Binder, so were we, but unfortunately realities change as the game goes on, and those of us that can adapt.
that reality never changed for me. That's all I'm gonna say.
Some of you still ended up having a vote go where you stayed and the people who you promised to be loyal to didn't go home. So how can you back up being loyal while that happened? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, so I'll jump in again. I actually never really had to do this outside of Reggie. I'll be totally honest, Reggie, you were the only person I had to lie to, but I wasn't orchestrating that vote and I literally had no say in that. So I will be honest, forthright. Reggie, I did lie to you, but I also just stopped texting you, so I would lie to you as little as possible. Everybody else, if I wasn't working with you, I either just wasn't texting you or I was pretty straightforward about that. That showed itself in the final 5 with me and Swartz being straightforward about being against each other. I mean, it's unfortunate. Like the other guys are saying, things change. You have to work against people. For my game, you have to vote people out. That's an inevitable part of it. But I never wanted to make promises I couldn't back up. And I really did as much as I possibly could to minimize this game. And I was pretty happy with the way I played, thinking I was going to start the game as a villain. And honestly, I played a very loyal and honest game all the way through.
Really, the people that I said get to the final 3 with were the people who pretty much made it to the last 5 or 6. And at that point, the unfortunate reality is there are only so many spots in the finals. And so things kind of have to shift. That being said, I did have strong alliances with a lot of people. And there were votes I couldn't control. So, for example, Swartz was one of my closest allies from the beginning, and I loved working with him. But I just couldn't control that vote, and he got out. There was really not much I could do about that. And Sawhill, too, is one of my closest allies throughout, and he got to the final 4. And, like I said earlier, I had this decision between Beef and Saw, and I could have gone either way. I decided to go with the person who I should be loyal to, even though I should have been very loyal to Sawhill. And I was up until that point. Beef and I were together from the beginning. So ultimately, I think that vote really demonstrates that I placed loyalty above all else and put Beef in the finals, even when I very easily could have got Sawhill in over him.
Yeah, I think, okay, so I played a pretty different game from these two in terms of loyalty, admittedly. I think I was loyal to everyone who I made an individual alliance with, but for the target that I had in the game, being loyal to everyone was just not something I could logistically do, because at the end of the day, I came in with a certain level of threat that everyone knew about, and it did not seem likely to me that everyone who I thought I trusted and trusted me would be genuine about that. But it was mostly I knew to get to the end, there were going to be people who were going to try to snake me, and I had to preempt that throughout the entire season. So because of that, I definitely burned some bridges. But I will say that every one of you who I was in an alliance with could have theoretically been with me here at the end. You can honestly look at Fields and Bittner as an interesting example because they were pretty openly not directly working with each other, and I'm the common link. So I had a lot of control over who was going to which vote. And that to me seemed like my safest bet moving forward in the game because I felt like I could be blindsided at any time. So I had to be the one doing the blindsiding rather than getting blindsided.
So you mentioned in your opening that you like used Bittner. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, no, I'm glad someone asked about it. This was a pretty important part of my game, and I think it's a key differentiator. Bittner, I want to preface this by saying I love you, bro, but this was just like the absolute centerpiece of my game in so many ways. I knew that for me to make it to the end this season, I would make it one of two ways. One was to make it there because it wasn't clear that you shouldn't not be taking me. The other was that someone had to be sure that they could beat me to take me. So those were the two options that I had. And at the end of the day, I think I got kind of both. That Fields trusted loyalty in that whether or not it's a strategic move, he took me. And on the other hand, I think Bittner took me because he thought there was a legitimate chance of beating me. So here's how this kind of all played out. So when Bittner references the systematic departure of all of his allies, I like to think that Survivor is a game of team moves, but that was all me. So pre-merge, Eisner, Towels, like I totally was in control of all those votes, created this like total fake alternative reality where the sophomores were running the game. I had no idea what was going on and was getting my hand forced. That was 100% me, totally BSing that and working with the sophomores to get those guys out because I knew 100% that I needed to be Bittner's number one pre-merge. So I got Eisner and Towels out. Okay, great. Fields was also in on that, but at that point in the game, I think that was definitely moves that I was in control of. Then we go later into merge. Randy, that was a huge vote for me because I knew you were tight with Bittner. So that's like a very useful vote for me in this game and sets me up because I have a clear Caliban majority. But again, play it off as, I'm Bittner, I'm still working with you. I gave you the advantage, whatever, we're fine. And then we go to Harrison. Harrison, you're like starting to get close with Bittner. I'm like, all right, I got to go get someone else. Like I got to be Bittner's number one in this game. He's got to be trusting with me. So I go get Harrison out, make it really unclear how that happened so Bittner can still trust me. So then we get to the final challenge. And look, at the end of the day, this wasn't all BS. Like I did actually really top game with Bittner and there was, some mutually beneficial strategy. I had done so many things to pick his game apart and pull allies out of the game and do all this. And at the end of the day, the guy still trusted me, still wanted to take me to the end. And I just needed someone who believed in themselves enough, in their game enough to think they could take it at the end. And he was my guy. Loved playing with him, but it was, in my opinion, my move of the game and totally was a blast to do throughout the season. But
so I'll address the early moves. Eisner, yeah, I fully knew Beef was on the other side of that because I was the only person not on the other side of that. Like I was the only person that wasn't on the right side of that vote besides Eisner. Towels, I literally didn't do anything for that vote, and I knew Beef was controlling that vote the whole way because he described to me how he was controlling it with the sophomores. Played me a little bit there to make me his ally, but I didn't have any other choice because I was going to be voted out the next week if I didn't work with Beef. So it wasn't a perceptual play. It was, I just didn't have any power because I didn't have the time to play this game in the first 2 weeks. So I knew without Beef, I'm not making it to the merge. So I needed Beef just as much as he was trying to, change my perception. Now on the Randy vote, I actually don't know what he's talking about there because Randy and I were not on the same side. We were always on different sides of that vote. Having the old Bayani tribe win on that vote would have been detrimental to my game, I felt, because I didn't have allies in Noble, at the time Harvey. At the time, I wasn't as close with James. So that was a necessary vote. I actually thought the Randy vote was one of my best moves of the game, using that advantage at the right time and moving my allies further, even if they thought they were playing me. It was best for my game. James, yeah, maybe they screwed you. But you, Harvey, I don't understand why, because we were all tight. We could have gotten to the end regardless. We were in the majority alliance. They didn't need to screw you over, and that's why I didn't. If they did, I'm sorry they did. And if you think that's the best move and that they deserve to win for that, I can't blame you because it was a great move. But I didn't want to screw all you guys over. I tried to play the loyalty game. And I saw that all the way through with Beef. Yes, he made it so that he was my only ally left at the end, but I played a loyal game and I saw that all the way through. Also, he did play the idol for me at 5 and he could have voted me out there. Maybe I was a stronger player. Maybe he thought I was GOAT. Regardless, he did it, and I wasn't going to be a dick at 4 and turn around and vote him out. Because again, I played a loyal game. That's what I wanted to do. I stuck on theme, and it got me to the end.
You know, coming into the season, you guys were like, quote unquote, big names that people wanted to get out. So I certainly loved that this dynamic was going on because it helped me a lot. And you mentioned the sophomores like teaming up. That definitely worked. I was able to deal with a bunch of sophomores on votes by suggesting that that was the case.
This is something we saw the first time that the bunch of us played. And Andy is on this call right now. He lost when he made it to the finals because he and Ethan Bredemeyer did the same thing. We're friends with everyone on all sides of the voting block and eventually had to vote them all out. And I knew that. As I was saying, I learned from my first season. And at the end of the day, you can piss people off that way. Again, maybe the people on the jury think it's the best move, but I knew that if you do that and it's unnecessary, especially when you're in the majority alliance post-merge and can just go to the end with your allies, those weren't moves I wanted to make.
I just think it's important to note that both of them were operating with it. They played really well in this structure, but it was a structure that I had created. So if you think the gameplay within that structure was good, you're welcome because I created the structure.
Beef, which is that when did you decide you weren't going to take me to the final 3 or try and work with me?
I honestly didn't make that decision until that vote. I so many times steered votes off of you early on in Merge, honestly, because I knew people knew that there was a relationship between Bittner definitely knows this because Bittner wanted to go for Swartz a lot in this game. And
you were a huge threat. You were. I said since literally week 2 of this game, if Swartz gets to the end, he wins this game. This was well before we merged.
This is one of those moments where we totally were working. Like Bittner was in my ear a lot about getting Swartz out, and I had to put that fire out quite a bit because I did really trust you in the game and want to go far with you. Honestly, the only reason I really had to pull the trigger at the end was because I just felt like I had a better chance of getting pulled to the end if Bittner was there or if Fields was there.
Yeah, you were right. I was
it was also
get you
partially,
next
yeah, it was also partially jury management. I thought you played a really good game, and I thought you had a real chance of winning. So
for Alec, what did you think helped you, or what made you feel like you were able to basically last till the final 3 when it was your first time playing?
I think that I approached this game with a different mentality. I didn't have the knowledge of the history of previous Survivor games. I think that helped me. When I just thought it made a lot of sense to ally with everyone and not necessarily stick with the same voting block. Only later did I learn that that was a unique approach that people generally didn't take in the past. Bittner mentioned that Andy did it in a previous year. I don't know why it didn't work then because obviously it worked great for me. And I really don't
People were really mad at the end.
I mean, you guys can all judge for yourselves, but I think that I still have really good relationships with pretty much all of you. And the people who I voted out, I did it strategically because you guys were the best players at that point in the game pretty much, or everyone else wanted to go for you and I just kind of went with it.
I have a lot of respect for the game Fields play because we obviously played together. I just would hedge that a lot of the moves he's saying he made were 100% as much made by me, especially the earlier moves. Survivor moves are not individual moves. They're collective moves.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. Beef and I were very closely allied throughout, and especially I think I started taking control more so after Merge when I won that first immunity. But especially before that, I was going with you and a number of people with Towels and whoever it was.
Beef, how intent were you to actually work with Harrison, or how much did you really manipulate him because he gave you an idol, which you didn't end up having to use it, obviously, but that could have been a major thing to give you power. So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah,
I also know what Harvey was thinking because what the fuck?
I think me receiving the idol is a very good image of how I played the game. From day one, I spoke with pretty much all 20 people who were playing and laid some kind of groundwork. Harrison and I had talked probably 2 or 3 times already at that point in the game, and he wasn't even on my tribe. So I think even though I had a preceding reputation in the game, I had developed enough of a relationship with him just within the first week that he seemed interested in playing the game. I wasn't sure how far it would take me. And then when he gave me the idol, I was like, okay, this is legit. He bought what I was putting down. This is great. Harrison just watches the show and knows Survivor really well. We talk game a lot. And I found it pretty intimidating whenever we talk game, how well he understood what could happen later in the game. So like I definitely thought about taking him far in the game. It was one of the most difficult votes for me because Harris and I talked games so much this season, and it was a blast. But that was, yeah, I don't know. Like, that was definitely one of the more personal ones I didn't want to do, but just kind of felt like a good Survivor sense told me to do it. So,
Like coming in to this final tribal, I thought I had my mind made up. I thought no chance that Beef doesn't win. But after hearing what all of you guys have been saying, my vote is definitely still up in the air. And so from each of you, I need to still hear a bit more. Bittner, like as a student of the game, you've seen the majority of the seasons and you've played 3 times. And I remember talking to you over the summer that like you said, the next season I want to win. And it didn't happen in the fall, but this was your chance. I'm still pretty confused why you did not get Beef out, because as you've seen, like Tony and Wu or like Fishback and JT, like that there's like the other person has played such a great game. I need you to like own your moves. And
to re-justify why I brought Beef, at the end of this isn't a game for $1 million. Like yeah, if I'm Tony and Wu at the end, hell yeah, I'm voting Tony out. It's $1 million. I don't care. But this is a game with our friends. Like, I love all of you. And the reason why I pointed out why Andy and Brett lost the season they screwed everyone over is because this game is different than normal Survivor. We're all friends here. And when you screw people over and blindside them, it gets messy and people actually get their feelings hurt. Even if I lose this, I want to be friends with Beef in the future. And I knew there was a possibility if I screwed him over after we played the whole season together, and I had that with multiple people, I didn't want to lose that, because I'm not friends with Ethan Bredemeyer anymore after he screwed me over. We've both stopped talking to each other altogether. And that's not something I want to experience.
That is it for Outwit. Now we are on to Outplay. This basically encompasses everything that the game throws at the players. This has to do with challenges, has to do with the advantages being thrown around the house and also the puzzles online. And basically any twists and turns that the game gave the players, go at it.
Beef, you said that you never once looked for an idol, correct? What was your reasoning for that? Were you just thinking that made it look like you were more loyal to everybody if you weren't looking around for the idol, or did you have something else in mind?
I had a big enough target on my back anyway that if people knew I had an idol or if they saw me looking for it, that was just going to elevate that even more. Honestly, by the time Harrison gave me the idol, a decent amount of people in the game knew I had it anyway, which made it all the more confusing to me how I wasn't immediately targeted every single week to flush that, which I think probably speaks to my social game why that didn't happen. But yeah, it was that one.
Can I actually hop on that? This is something we haven't talked about yet, and this isn't a slight at Beef at all. But one aspect of this we haven't talked about is this group of 4 that was me, Ray, Andy, and Beef, and then also me, Andy, and Beef towards the end, which was 4 people who all knew that we were all threats in this game to get to the end. And for most of this game, we all kind of backed off each other, except me against Ray. Again, Ray, sorry. But that was a big part of this game, was me, Andy, and Beef not targeting each other, because we all knew, and we said this literally day one, the first day of this game, we said if we all go after each other, we're all going to implode in on each other, and none of us are going to make the merge, because we're all just going to paint ourselves as targets. So a big part of the reason why Beef just wasn't a threat was because people like Andy and I, anytime his name was coming up or Andy's name was coming up, we were deflecting a lot of that off. Sorry, that was kind of off the original question, but I realized we needed to discuss that because Andy has to have credit for us sitting here in the final.
All right, so Joey asks, did y'all think online challenges were an advantage or disadvantage to your guys' personal game?
I would say definite advantage to my game. I think once it went online, I was top 3 in pretty much all of the online based ones, and then also won 3 in a row. So I think it definitely was an advantage to my game. I was never amazing at the in-person whatever games Pulaski would make. It just wasn't one of my strong suits. But for whatever reason, a lot of the stuff we did virtually played well to my strengths. So
I think one thing that was really nice was it made it a lot easier to structure my day around a challenge if I could plan the time. So for example, I'd try to work out every now and then. So just in case it was a workout challenge, I would pause my workout so that way I wouldn't be so sore in case it was, something athletic. But I thought either way, the challenges were the challenges.
Like I said in my opening statement, part of what I realized the first time I played this is I can't overdo the outplay portion. Otherwise, like Reggie, you just become an immediate threat and can get voted out very quickly. Now, I preface this with saying the word challenges, I just hated myself in the puzzles. I hated how much I dropped the ball on some of them this season. That was not intentional. But there were definitely a few challenges that I just intentionally either didn't compete in, didn't try and didn't even show up for just because I knew it wasn't going to paint as big of a target on my back. And then I won the last immunity challenge when it absolutely mattered most because I didn't trust Fields to bring me into the final three. Honestly, I didn't really trust anyone to bring me into the final three. So I knew I had to win that. Also, I needed something on given that I hadn't tried as hard on challenges this season, I needed a challenge win under my belt. So I really needed that.
So now we are on to the Outlast portion. Anything that you weren't able to say during this, the other three parts of this final tribal, get off your chest. And we're going to start with Bittner.
So I don't really have a lot of new things to add. I've pretty much gotten it all out there. Like I said, my game was based around loyalty. When I had allies, I fully intended to work with them, knowing full well that, yes, you have to vote people out because that's the game and that's what you do every time you go to tribal council. But I never wanted to screw people over. I never wanted to blindside people. Even though I went into the season, Beef and I, whether he was genuine in it or not, I'm pretty sure he was genuine in it because I think he played that way. We had a villains alliance at the start of the season, and we just wanted to cause chaos and have fun. And I kind of quickly abandoned that, both because I didn't want to screw people over. And also I knew that if I went with Beef to the end, there was a possibility where he screwed over everybody sitting at the jury and I didn't. And maybe that would be a winning strategy against the best person to ever play Alpha Delta Survivor. Because let's be honest, that is Jeff Berkowitz and there's zero question about that. If y'all vote for him to win, I am absolutely not going to be mad because he played a fantastic all-around game. Same goes to Alec. Kid crushed it this season. I totally underestimated my son from the beginning. Super happy to be sitting here with him because he made some crazy moves. But at the end of the day, I think I played the best all-around game.
Just want to start by saying, Bittner, you also played a great game. As much as we were opposed for portions of it, we were allied for a large part of it. And I loved working with you when we did. And Beef, obviously, one of the reasons I really got so into this was because of you. And I definitely learned from you. I would say that the student has become the master based on that last vote and based on the last few votes. But, that's up to the jury to decide. I think, look, I started this game without knowing a ton and just worked my way through it, continuing to learn more and more information. I think I approached it differently than people have in the past because I had this new outlook where I made sure to bounce between groups. And I wouldn't say that, unlike maybe what could have happened in the past, I maybe ruined friendships. I don't think that's the case. I stayed loyal to everyone who I was loyal to. And the sad reality is that at some point people have to go. I was allied with Harvey, Sawhill, Swartz at one point or another, and they got really far into the game. It's only when we make those really tough decisions that we have to. But ultimately, I really think I controlled a lot of the votes. I orchestrated many of them while maintaining a lot of friendships and made sure to stay loyal to my biggest ally of the game, Beef, and to Sawhill until the final four. I think the last move speaks for itself, where I kind of outwitted and outplayed by getting myself into the finals and taking Beef with me, when we'd been together through the beginning. So hopefully it's clear to you guys. I think I did more than enough to win and to show that even though I was new to the game, I knew exactly what I was doing from the start, having the same strategy and making sure to adapt throughout the game to ultimately win.
At the end of the day, I had a really uphill path to make it to Final Three. This game is extremely difficult to play when you come in with a reputation. I know Bittner knows that. I know Ray knows that. It's just there's a certain level of challenge in every challenge, every conversation, a level of mistrust that's really hard to overcome. And at the end of the day, I was really able to work with all of you, had a lot of meaningful conversations. I realized that a loyalty game was not one that I could play as much as I wanted to, and that's what I'd done my previous season. And so I can only hope that if any of those vote outs felt personal, they totally weren't. It was just the only way I saw myself making it to the end. I also won the most challenges. Not that that's the most important thing, but I think it's a relevant thing to consider. My idol was never flushed, and I spent so much time on that advantage that gave me that advantage in Final Six. So I was really dedicated to the game and wanted to see this thing through. So I bucked the trend that a former winner can't make it back to Final Three. I had a blast doing it. I feel really lucky to have had the opportunity to play this in my final semester. It's kept me connected to the fraternity in a really meaningful way. And if Bittner, Fields win it, they're incredible players. So I have tons of respect for those guys. I hope I've done enough to earn your votes.
Thank you guys. Now it is time to vote.
I'm voting for Beef, hands down. Has played the best game I've ever seen. And as a previous winner, I know how hard it is to get to the end again. And there's no chance you can do that by being loyal to everybody. So I forgive what he's done. And great game, man.
I feel like he played the most loyal game out of the three of them, which is something I value. I usually try to play my games pretty loyal. So.
All right.
Fields played a clean game. He definitely made some power moves, and it was exciting to watch him play. Yeah.
So, all the votes have been cast. Also, before I read the votes, I also just want to say a little something myself. Basically, since the beginning, I poured my heart and soul into making this a tradition that brings the Brotherhood together and brings all of us together. And I truly believe that I don't think I would be as good of friends with all of you without this game. And I'm sad to see it go because it's been such a core element of my life and of my basically just undergrad career. But what really made it special was you guys. You guys put in the time and effort into making this the way it is, and actually playing the game and loving the game. I'm just so appreciative of everything you guys have done to build this up just as much as I have.
Yeah, we love you, Pulaski.
You've done an incredible,
Thank you.
incredible job.
Thank you so much.
Love you, bro.
All right. And so with that, for the last time, I'll read the votes.
How many members total are there on the jury?
10.
Cool.
All right. First vote. Binner. Beef. Fields. That's 1 vote Bittner, 1 vote Beef, 1 vote Fields. Bittner. Beef. That's 2 votes Bittner, 2 votes Beef, 1 vote Fields. Bittner. Beef. That's 3 votes Bittner, 3 votes Beef, 1 vote Fields. Bittner. Beef. That's 4 votes Bittner, 4 votes Beef, 1 vote Fields, 1 vote left. And the winner of our recorded Survivor season, Beef. That is 5.
Well deserved.
That is enough. Beef, congratulations. You are, for the second time, the sole survivor.
It's so close, but hell yeah, bro. Proud of you. We should rename this the Jeff Berkowitz Award.
That
Agreed with that.
My God, Bittner, that was insane.
Crazy season, bro.
Thank you guys so much. This has been such a blast. I'm at a loss for words. This has just been a blast. I'm gonna miss it so much.
I just wanted a singular vote, so I love you guys. That was great. By the way, all of you, this was actually a crazy season in terms of how committed everyone was and how good everyone was at this game. When Ray and I are leading this next semester, please, you all better be playing. This was so much fun.
This game, in a lot of ways, pushes people apart because you're designed to vote people out. And that was one of the most frustrating things about my game. Now I'm out of game mode. That was so frustrating to play this season, knowing that I had to, not that I had to, but just the way the game worked required me to really violate trust with some people. And that's a really difficult thing to do. I think for the most part, I don't think I deal broke any relationships. I hope I didn't, but it's really easy in this game to get wrapped up in, I thought he was my friend, he got me out, but the game's so much bigger than that. Damn, Pulaski and Crystal, we're gonna miss this. So here's my idea. Don't know if it'll work, but I think it's worth a shot. So I'm gonna individually talk to pretty much every person in this game and lay it out in this way. I'm going to have a conversation with them. At the end of the conversation, I'm basically going to say, look, if you tell anyone that we're talking, it's really bad for your game, which it objectively is. Because in Alphadel, it's a death sentence. If you're working with a previous winner, people will go for you. That's just how it works. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm going to tell them that they are not allowed to tell anyone that we're talking and that they're the only person that I'm talking to. And I'm going to do that with pretty much everyone. So rather than being part of larger alliances, I'm going to try to be in one-on-one alliances with literally every person in the game. And because of that, when they're separate alliances, which I tell them they can totally be a part of, try to figure out who the target is, each of them is individually motivated to not target me. So there's no reason for them to bring it up. That's the update. Thanks, y'all. Have fun.
That's the season. Congrats to Beef for winning, and thank you to all the people who either played in or helped in filming this season. I seriously couldn't have done any of this without you guys, so thank you so much. I also wanted to briefly shout out a couple of people that really helped this get to where it is. Firstly, Cam, I had this idea because of you, and with the passion that you brought in the first season, you really got the ball rolling to get this Survivor franchise to where it is today, and I couldn't have done it without you. Also, Jason, thank you so much for everything you've done to help me throughout all of the seasons, from 3D printing puzzles to helping set everything up and run everything when I wasn't able to. Lastly, thank you to everyone who has played a Survivor game that I've put on. You guys are the reason that it's always been so great and the reason why I always want to do it again. Speaking on that, I do have some ideas for how I can continue this in the future. When it's going to happen, I'm not quite sure, just because of, the state of the world and everything. But yeah, also thank you to all of you guys for watching and joining me on this journey. It's been an absolute blast going through all the footage again, reliving every moment of the franchise. And yeah, thanks again.